Over the next 8 weeks, we're going to have the marketing, we're going to have the resources, we're going to talk about the money. And so when we say game on, that means you're ready to take your business to the next level. Bring your actual business plan in. Where do you want to go?
We came up with a plan to keep all of our commitments.
Show me the money. How many customers do you want to have? How much money do you want to make? Do you want to buy a building?
People are really scared of starting a website, but the website is everything.
Viagra spends millions of dollars marketing.
What people buy into in your brand.
There are resources available.
Trying to match people with what it is that they need.
LinkedIn relationships matter.
We like to know who we're buying from and who we're doing business with.
We have 8 weeks. Ready, set, go. So welcome to week 8. And in this session, we're talking about putting it all together. We've had 8 weeks of awesome things, and we're going to talk about putting it all together. I'm Nadine Spencer. You know, my first major priority right now is Nana to Nola, which I should really have a photo. She's 1 year old. She just turned 1 year old last week. So I'm very excited about that. I'm a mom to 2 awesome daughters, and, you know, the CEO of Brand EQ Agency, strategic marketing and communications firm, also president of the Black Business and Professional Association. And, you know, I list these things because it shows what women, you know, who women are in the space when we're business people. If I were a man, all of this wouldn't be on the list. You know, they would have one thing. But I think I list this, and I state it all the time, to talk about all the things that we as business women face. And then, you know, we as Black business women. And so I always like to have this list, because these are the additional things that we face as well. So today's weekly inspiration is: your relationships will in many ways determine your economic condition. And, you know, I'll share a story with you. On Saturday, I spoke to an awesome group at the Global Council in Chicago, quite an incredible organization, Policy and Research, and they invited me, a Canadian, to speak at this retreat that they had to their leaders. And it was very inspiring. You know, people from the Obama Foundation was there, a lot of leaders from, you know, world leaders, like in the United States, from different banks, heads of large nonprofits, and so forth. And, you know, and after that session, a lot of the individuals reached out to me to connect with me for, you know, advice, business, and all of that. And so it just goes to show you that when, you know, when I was introduced to this group by the individuals that I work with on the Accelerating Women Entrepreneurs program. And it just goes to show you that when you volunteer and when you move out of your safety zone and your box and you meet other people, that relationships can add to your economic condition. And that's why we state the importance of relationships in your business. Most of what will happen, you can advertise, we can do social media, all of those things we talk about, but one of the key drivers in your business success is building relationships. So I really want to, I cannot stress that enough, the importance of relationships. And so the next slide, I Googled boss women. So what's interesting about this? Maybe you can sort of, you know, just shout out what you find interesting about this collage of boss women when you Google boss women. What do you notice here? What do we notice?
Lack of diversity of Black women at least presence.
Yeah, lack of diversity. You know, anything else? Yeah, I mean that's the number one thing. So if we as Black entrepreneurs were to look at this and say, who are, you know, leaders, boss women, none of them, there isn't one that looks like me here. You know, there's 2. I think I see just 2 representation, and so this is why this is important. That's why this program is important. You know, and through hashtags and so forth and keywords, you know, when we sort of write the script on this and take photos, I'm going to make sure I hashtag boss women when we do this as Black. So the next time, if the search engine is right, you will be able to see Black women in this. We have to be intentional sometimes when we market with our hashtags, because if we hashtag enough, then we will be able to see ourselves in the space. And that's why programs like this is so important, because we need to be able to see ourselves in the space. And we work towards that, we champion that all the time. And so this session is about putting it together. You know, it says ready, set, go. We've, from week 1, where we started, all the way up till now, we want to sort of pull it all together. And then, you know, when you're doing things right, there's something that's called critical mass, and you build momentum. There's a flow. And what's happened, because individuals have seen the program, they heard about what happened in week 2 and so forth. And so we've had some support, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And it just goes to show you, the proof is in the pudding. Here we are, we started our program, we've had, you know, hiccups, but still, because we continued to represent, to show up, show out, be branded, we have people that looked and saw us in the moment, and said, we want to participate and we want to be here with you, and we're going to support. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I'm going to show you a little teaser of a production that we're coming up with for the program. And this is first cut, so you'll get to see, you know, marketing in its first phase of what it looks like in first cut. Let's hope I can find it easily. And if you have any questions, as usual, please put it in the chat. And Uju, if there's any questions here that I can answer in the meantime while I'm searching for this video cut to show, just let me know and I can answer in the meantime.
Awesome. I just want to especially shout out to some of our female scholarship recipients that I can see already in the room. NECA, for instance, Esther Johnson, Mirabelle, and Terry Ann, I believe, and a couple of other people from the scholarship award that we're given in a few days. Just good to see that you're coming here, and you're also going to, I'm very, very positive that you get a lot of value out of this program.
Welcome,
So Terry Ann. All of you.
Fantastic. So I've got the video up. Can you see the video? It says Vimeo, and there's my picture in front. Can everybody see that? Or no? No?
No.
What do you see
your slide? You
just see my slide? Okay. Let me just see if I can close off my slide, and maybe I'll have to reshare so you guys can see the video. Do you see the video now? No?
No. No. No.
So I'm going to do a new share, okay? Oh, maybe, that's what it is. I have to do a new share. You'll learn every day. So do you see that now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I hope that the volume will work this time. So I just want to show you guys this.
Can't hear you.
You can't hear? Hi, can you hear the video or no? You can hear the video? Evelyn, I can see you shaking your head. Yes or no? Can you hear the video?
No, can't hear it.
Nobody? Oh my gosh.
No.
Press play.
Nadine, you might have to enable video sound. It's one of the settings when you're sharing the screen.
Oh, someone said what I should do to enable the sound?
You have to enable the video sound as the facilitator, as the host. It's one of the settings when you're sharing your screen. It's at the bottom. If you go to the share screen mode, you might have 2 boxes you can check off, and one is enable video sound.
One says, oh, share computer sound. Fabulous.
Yes.
Where were you in the previous weeks when we were sharing?
Facilitator to facilitator.
Thank you. Oh, this is awesome. And who said this?
It's Delafonte.
Delafonte, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I'll start it again.
Tonight we're going to lay the. My name is Nadine Spencer. I'm president of the Black Business and Professional Association. It's amazing as, you know, women and as Black women, when we are in the space of entrepreneurship. I believe in the economy of women. I believe in women creating our own space, creating our own financial freedom. Tonight, we're going to lay the foundations. When we say game on, you're here. That means you're ready to go. You're ready to take your business to the next level.
I am in real estate. What we focused on is first-time home buyers and getting them into the market.
Well, my name is Cynthia. I'm living in Kelowna, BC, and I have an event planning business.
My business is called WOW Empowerment Center. It stands for Watching Over Women.
We are looking to have mentorship so that we minimize mistakes in our beginning phases. People usually say that experience is the best teacher. It's a great teacher, but I don't think it's the best because I can leverage off the experience of other people. I don't have to make those same mistakes, right, to be able to excel. And so that's where the roles of mentors and sponsors come in.
As a business person, it's investing in yourself is the number one thing that we must do.
A huge part of networking is building confidence in yourself. You need to be able to delve into your business. Talk about what makes you different. What is your focal point? What is your niche? What makes you stand out from any other person who's working in your industry? You need to be able to have those points down within a minute.
You as an individual, as all entrepreneurs in your own unique way, have to recognize that you are the brand and we have to find our own unique value proposition.
People who are successful in business somehow manage to get the name of their business in every conversation.
And what we find is a lot of women are very proud of the fact that they are self-financing. I actually don't think you should be proud of the fact that you're self-financing. It's far better to use other people's money, especially when the interest rates are low, in order to grow your own business.
The federal government, they have what's called a low dollar value procurement opportunities for everybody, but we're advocating for that for Black individuals, Black businesses and professionals, and then specifically for Black women. The Minister, Mary Ng, their mandate is to double the amount of female entrepreneurs by 2025. So when we sit at those tables, Francis and I, we say, what about Black women that looks like us? Because our challenges are very different than Karen Walker's challenges. The only way that's going to happen is to be in a state of readiness in your business.
So that's coming. So you see the first cut. And so next week when we have our meeting, we will have the final cut. You'll see the final. Now, as you've seen, I'm trying to stop sharing, and yeah. And so if we've pulled some of the individual participants to use your voice and so forth. And if you are not comfortable with that, do let us know right away. Okay, do let us know right away as we go into the final cut. So I want to, very exciting. We're looking forward to getting that final video. So now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our amazing guest speaker. I'm trying to put my screen back to share. Bear with me while I try to get back to my PowerPoint. And if you can see, let me know. Can you see the screen now? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. And present. Wonderful. So now I would like to introduce you to our speaker, Evelyn Myre, the Executive Director of Peel Newcomer Strategy Group. As Executive Director of Peel Newcomer Strategy Group, which is a collaboration of leaders from business, government, and service organization, Evelyn established an immigration planned table, led the creation of an immigration settlement plan for the region, and spearheaded a branding and marketing campaign. She is a dynamo she's in Hamilton. She has received a recipient of the Queen Elizabeth Golden and Diamond Jubilee Awards, and she has also been awarded the 100 Accomplished Black Canadian honor, among many other awards. Evelyn continues to be an active member of our community and will continue on her goal to educate people in the benefits of a diverse and inclusive community and workforce. Evelyn is truly a super dynamo, and she has an incredible wealth of knowledge, and we welcome her to tonight's program to share her journey. Thank you, Evelyn, and welcome.
I think you're muted.
There we go. I apologize for that. So again, I want to say thank you for that generous introduction, Nadine, and congratulations to all the participants in this important program in supporting women entrepreneurship journey. Just want to congratulate you in this effort. Thanks, Nadine, again. just to say that I have pivoted from the role of executive director at Peel Newcomer Strategy Group to becoming my own business person as a founder and principal consultant at Empower Strategy Group. So that's where I am currently situated in this organization, driving change. So just want to start, Nadine, are you going to run my PowerPoint or should I share that?
If you can share that, that'd be great, Evelyn, because yeah, I don't have it. If you could share that, that'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, I just made you co-host so you can share your screen.
All right. So bear with me. That's something I have to do better at as well. I'll just, here we go, share screen. I apologize. It might take a second because my computer tends to take a long time to share anything. Any movements?
Not yet.
It will come. Unfortunately, I should have put it up earlier. It says something is happening. I apologize for that. So give me another 30 seconds. It should be on. I keep saying I have to make sure I put my screen on early before I start anything because it tends to take a long time to share. I had this problem this morning.
Maybe it's your internet. I find that with even in our building with so many people online now, you know,
yeah,
the bandwidth is just slowed down.
So it's so I can just tell you a bit about myself. So I started off. Something is happening, right? I saw something moving here in my screen. So I'm in Hamilton. Have you guys heard of Hamilton before? All your friends.
Did we get up? Oh, I think
yeah,
she's still here, but
maybe it's her internet.
Okay, I'm gonna try and see if I can share for her. Because my system has the same issue as well. It's pretty slow at sharing. Oh, I think she's sharing now.
Okay. There we go. Thank you. I think it's working, right? You can see it?
Yeah, it says you've started sharing the screen.
Any images?
No, not yet.
Jeez.
You want to maybe share your PowerPoint with Danielle, with Uju, and then maybe she can share it?
She has it. I sent it.
Yeah, I have it. So I'll see if I can do that now.
Is it sharing now? Your screen sharing, it tells me.
So you can stop sharing and I'll try and see if I can share on my side.
Okay. Jeez.
It must be the 401.
Must be. Traffic backed up, yes. Okay, look how fast that was. Look at that.
Usually it's not this fast.
And I do want to put the caveat to that is because usually Uju does it from home, where it's not as fast.
Can you see my screen now?
I started sharing.
It's saying it started sharing.
Double click to enter. There we go. Woohoo! Did it work?
There we go. I can see it.
Okay, so if you could click on the first one for me then, please.
Okay.
Well, it's just, it's an introduction. You can actually start here because I'm going to move right into this. So again, just want to, just my little logo there, Empower Strategy Group. And just move to the next one for me in terms of definition I was thinking as Nadine spoke, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we have the same mindset, because I'm writing the same things down, not even talking to her the way I described myself. So slide number 2, if you can click on that for me, that would be great. So Evelyn Myra, I put myself first as a Black woman, immigrant woman, Jamaican, mother, daughter, sister. I have owner on the other side that you didn't see, because that was the one I sent earlier. Business owner, widow, and a grandparent. So those are some of the things that ways I describe myself. You know, we do have multiple identities, and when Kimberly Crenshaw talks about intersectionality, you see me right there. I mean, that could have gone even further, but that's some of the intersections of my life. The immigrant experience, the Jamaican experience, mother, daughter, sister. I think all of us, we know that all of us have various social locations, and definitely these are just some of mine. So when you get a moment, take a little chart yourself and see if you can come up with a number of identities and how they intersect in your life. The third slide just tell you a little bit about myself. Again, I do marathons. So that was in England. I did the London Marathon some time ago. Done about 10 of them around the world, different countries. And I love traveling, and I'm from Jamaica, and I just find more and more that I'm heading to Jamaica more than I ever have, like more regularly. I travel around the world, but Jamaica's been calling me for the last number of years. So I do like to travel. I do like to run. And the next slide is number 4. You're helping me here, right? Am I the co-host still? Okay. One of my favorite, 2 of my favorite quotes that inspires me on a regular basis in the work that I do is, be the change that you wish to see in this world. You know, so we can point our fingers at people do this or do that, but what are we doing to make a difference in this world? So that drives me in my work, and it also drives me in my volunteer responsibilities. The other important quote that I like and like to share with you is one from Maya Angelou that speaks to this. I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And sometimes we all have to be reminded of that. We get sometimes impatient with each other, with family members and co-workers and colleagues. And when I put this quote in front of my bedroom, I have it as I get up, I see it, to remind myself, you know, how I need to remind myself how to treat each other as we travel this journey. So the other inspiration, number 5, or you can go to number 6, what inspires me or who inspires me. And it's all different, different times and different people inspires me. So the first one I want to just to reflect on is number 6. If you can move down the next slide for me, please. So the next one, I think that 6 is yeah. My mother is part of the Canadian iconography in terms of Black people in the late 60s or early 60s were, yeah, late 50s perhaps. One of the only ways we can come to Canada was through the domestic workers program. And you probably know individuals, your grandparents or aunties and people like that who came to Canada as a result of that program. So my mom is an iconic figure in my life, and she certainly represents our history, representative of the history of Caribbean women in Canada, one of the early people who arrived here and helped to drive change in one way, shape, or form. So one of the things that she always say, you know, before Nike actually came up with their little tagline was just do it, and that just get it done, right? And my mother was, yeah, so that's something that she's someone who inspires me. And when I have tough moments, you know, I reflect on what would my mom do, depending on the case I'm dealing with, of course. Another woman who inspires me deeply, especially living in a world stratified by race, class, and gender, is one Jamaican iconic woman named Nanny of the Maroons. And she is said to, she and other enslaved people sought refuge from brutal slave society in the mountains of Jamaica, where together they established a Maroon community. She defeated the British invaders during the slavery, and in fact, in Jamaica, the Maroons signed a treaty and make their territory a sovereign nation within the nation of Jamaica. And she was a fierce woman who stood up and led her people, despite, the issues of gender. She just got it done. So she inspires me. In fact, my tagline or my name on Twitter, you see anything, Nanny Maroon. And you say, oh, what does that mean? I say, it's very meaningful. A colleague of mine said, change your name, just put your name on it. I said, no. I want it to be Nanny Maroon. It's the spirit of Nanny lives in me in everything that I do. Another woman who inspires me is, the next slide, is Harriet Tubman. And one of the ways she inspires me, when I'm doing marathons, for example, I'm at mile 20 and you're really dying and you have to find something to motivate you within you. It's all come from within. And I always pretend I am Harriet Tubman. And I say to myself, you have more people to fetch, another person to bring across from slavery out of the United States into Canada. And I visualize myself being Harriet Tubman. I cannot give up. I have 6 more miles to go and my body is failing me. So I have to turn to my mind, and my mind becomes Harriet Tubman. And almost give me the little goosebumps, because I really feel as though I'm Harriet Tubman. I have another mile to go. So in my quest, like my running and my thing, like in my marathon running, Harriet Tubman is the woman I become at the 20th mile, because I have to get 6 more miles in and I don't know how to do it. So she inspires me there. The other woman who inspires used to more than say now, but I remember being in the boardroom, say 2000, early 2000s, 2005, 7, those years. And I'm thinking, I'm having a challenge, right, at the office. And I'm like, Hillary wasn't even running then, but she was a fierce woman. She was a woman who she didn't cry, I felt. So I'm like, this is a tough situation. What did Hillary do? So I drew on her spirit at that time. So in work, Hillary was one of the women who inspired me to say, come on now, be strong, you can do this. Go right in that room, take your space, claim your space, and just get it done. So that's someone who inspired me, and I want to pay homage to her. I know right now it's not necessarily politically correct because of all the political issues, but I still see her as somebody who inspired many women around boardroom tables. I want to also share another woman who is more local and is around now is Akua Benjamin. And she inspires me in the community, especially right now when we're addressing issues of anti-Black racism. And she's the one who coined the term anti-Black racism, at least here in Canada, when it was certainly rejected as an ideology. Everyone said, what is that? And Akua and others made sure that remained a part of our language. And as you know, today, the Prime Minister is actually saying those words. So she's a fierce woman, very thoughtful, very strategic, and very empowering. So all of us in various locations in our life, in our business life, in our community life, in our family life, we have people who inspire us. So I just wanted to share those women who have inspired me and continue to do so at different moments, at different space in my journey. So speaking of that, life's a journey, and moving on to the next slide. And I talk about being an immigrant child living in Windsor, Ontario. I came to Canada in 1974 at the age of teenager and lived in Windsor. And I became, next slide please, I became the first in my family to attend post-secondary institution. So many of us, some of you maybe even on this call, have had that experience. So I became, in the Caribbean community and in the Jamaican community, used to be a saying that says something like this: you take the shame out of me eye. I get emotional even talking about it. And that role was given to me, and I took it. So I had a lot of stress because I wanted to make sure my mother was proud, right? So I went to university, and I say this because in my first year, I became pregnant. At 19-year-old, my mother sent me to school. For the first year, she was so proud, telling everyone that her daughter's in university. And what did I bring home? A little baby girl. So that's part of my journey. I thought I was over it, but I'm getting emotional, right? So, but you know what? As families do, and she always says, I know some of you are different parts of the world, the Caribbean and Canadians, Canadian born, but having families from the Caribbean and Africa. So in good Caribbean fashion, she says, come on, I'm a fractal. You know, she put me as the duck would put the little ducklings underneath to protect them from the weather. She says, come on in my dress, basically, in a proverbial way. And she made sure that I had support, that I could go back to school. And at nights, she would watch the baby while I'm studying and make sure that, you know, things continued in a smooth manner. So I wanted to say how family support is really key. Not many people, not everyone have that in their toolkit, family support, but those of us who did or do, we are very grateful and very thankful. And also, family doesn't have to be blood. It could be other people in your circle who supports you when you have a fall. You know, the idea of falling is not a bad thing. It's in the getting up that you're defined. And I got up and said, I will make my family proud, and I will carry that mission, as you know, to I will continue on the journey to, as they would say back in the day, take the shame out of my eye, right? And I was that person in the family that you're gonna go to university, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. So that was early part of my journey. The next slide, please. I don't know where we are. I can't see. So just fly through these. Number 16. So I felt I couldn't let my mom down, as I said earlier. And what came through this process was a perseverance. I felt really that I had to finish my university, which I did. And my self-confidence grew as I gained I was able to get really great marks in school, and, you know, finish that part of my journey in a successful way. And next come finishing university and having, someone believing in me. That was really important. I want to share that with you. Having people around you who support and believe in you is really critical to building your sense of confidence and your belief in yourself, your community connectedness. And I was very blessed to have that in the community. And I want to just reflect on someone who helped me in my early journey. Slide number 19. I finished university. It was a very tough time. The economy was really rough. But a woman named Daphne Clark in Windsor, Ontario, who was a Jamaican woman who started the Immigrant Women's Movement in Canada, one of the founding members of the Immigrant Women's Movement, which we have them all across Toronto now, because that wasn't in then, this women's community, immigrant women movement. And she hired me as a counselor for immigrant women, addressing issues of foreign domestic workers and the fact that they had to go sent back home after they worked for how many years. They had no rights in Canada, as you probably are aware. Labor rights were denied to them. So she helped me, give me a job. I learned on the job and became involved in social justice movement. So she's responsible for that. And in the next picture, the woman in the middle, I couldn't find a photograph of her, but her name is Cara Libby. A white woman who met me at some place and said, "You are such a gem and a shining star. We need to get you a good job." And she actually took me to the city of Hamilton, and I got a job as the coordinator for the Mayor's Committee on Employment in Windsor, Ontario. So she took me from Daphne Clark's office into another location, into another space. And so I wanted to say how important it is to have mentors and people who believe in you and to give you an opportunity, and our responsibility to also give others opportunities. So do find those gems in our community who are able to help you to navigate your way, to open doors for you, because you may not have the social capital as you start out in your journey to open those doors for yourself. So just remember that. The next slide. So how did I get all that confidence, you know? And I don't want to take away from those, our children were born here and grew up here, but I do believe that the fact that I was brought up in Jamaica helped me to believe in myself. I came to Canada, and in grade 10 I started high school here in Canada, and there was a photograph on the notice board at school. It says prom queen, and I said to this colleague, what is a fellow student said, what is that? She says, oh, you know, for the prettiest girl in town in school. I'm like, oh, really? That's me. So grade 10, I went and had my photograph taken and put it on the bulletin board at school. And the principal called me and said, what are you doing with your picture up there? You're in grade 10, you're not graduating. I said, I didn't know. I just thought this is for the beautiful women, girls in school. So I'm saying that only to tell you the self-confidence that I had when I came to Canada. The level of confidence, I look back though, I laugh at myself. Oh my God, I just was so bold and believed in who I am, and I can do anything I want. As a kid in Jamaica, the teachers would always say, oh yeah, or my neighbors would always say, oh, Miss Myra's bright little granddaughter, you know, those comments. And as I grew up and understand now how that helped to build my self-confidence to navigate the path that I've taken in this country. So really believing in yourself, stay around people who are positive, who encourages you, who uplifts you, and those who tear you down, you know, just keep away from those environments, and that energy is really, really critical. That's what helped me, staying around positive people, having a family members who say to me, you are wonderful, and I believed it. Slide 21. So phase 2, so I've told you about my foundation, the fact that I was brought up in Jamaica, how people helped me along the way, how I became pregnant, a teenage mom, and I, you know, bringing a little bit of shame to my family in a small town of Windsor where everybody was a nurse. And if you're not a nurse back then, you're not anything. My mother was a working class woman, a domestic worker. Her child is going to university. You know, she was so proud. And then I came home pregnant. So I told you how that helped shape me, though. It really gave me more strength and conviction to move forward. And so my next phase then in life, it was to build on that. Building on that, what I did and I continue to do, I got involved in the community, as Nadine said earlier. I have gone all around the world being a member and a voice in the Black community, from South Africa to the World Conference Against Racism in Johannesburg, in Durban, South Africa, to, you know, various countries around the world, having a voice addressing issues in our community. So I was more in the social justice field. Of course, please join professional associations so you become more knowledgeable about what the changes in your sector, network, know where the points of privilege and power is, join, and all, not only just join and sit at the back of the room, take up space. Some people say don't take up space. I'm one of those people who say take up space. So you're going to find a balance, right? Takes a favor without blocking other people, but do not be afraid to claim your space. And volunteer, give back to the community. Volunteer, be a mentor to a young Black child, especially. We need all the volunteers we can get. So those are some of the things that I live by. The next slide is 22. Get a mentor. All right. I just told them I got a mentor, but they picked me. But you can pick someone. That's the beauty of it now. People just get up and they call me out. People call me on a regular basis and say, "Can you be my mentor?" I said, absolutely. You know, we define what the terms are, and I help with phone calls ever so often, and help review documents that they might have for their resume, give tips, connect them to resources in the community, take them to meetings with me where they can meet other people. So get a mentor is really important as you're starting out your journey. That's something that I recommend very strongly. And the next slide is 23. 23. Here are some of the reasons to get a mentor, right? Mentors can offer valuable insight into what it takes to get ahead. It helps develop your knowledge and skill. They can help you identify skills and expertise you need to succeed, which happened to me. I shared with you the 2 women who were very instrumental in my career path. Improve your communication skills. Just like your mentor, you will also learn to communicate more effectively, which can further help you at work. So those are critical pieces. Learn new perspective. Different perspective helps you to see the world in a more broadened way. Build your network. How strongly can I emphasize that? Develop strong networks and use them as you navigate your journey. You know, it's really important to do that. Advance your career, and a mentor helps you to stay focused on track and interact through your career and to give you advice and development, helping you develop your networking skills. So these are very important. Some, you can also slash this to be a coach. That's another, depends on where you are in your career. Please, some of us didn't know this before. And I'll tell you, I was one of them in my early career. I didn't have a coach. If I were starting over, I would get a coach. I would take that money and I would pay a good coach to help me navigate my way. It's really critical. It's something I cannot emphasize enough, is getting a coach. I'm sure Nadine will, in the program, she'll tell you more about that, always. The next slide, I'm getting to the end, because I know I had only 10 minutes. I think I talked a bit long. Number 20, cultivate your unique brand. But Nadine has shared that with you already, so I will not get into, but this is a descriptor I want to explain to you from my perspective what that means. Number 25, be authentic. Be more concerned with your character than your reputation, because your character is what you really are, while your reputation is merely what others think you are. The true test of a man's or / woman's character is what she does, or that person or they do when no one is watching. So while I really encourage you to develop a brand in terms of making sure that you are reliable, you have integrity and all that, those aspects, at the end of the day, your character is what comes through. You can have the most beautiful brand on your social media platforms, but when it comes to character, nothing beats that. Who you are is your character. Your reputation is what people think of you, and what's really more important is what you think of yourself. And can you look in the mirror and say, yes, I am proud of myself and I respect myself. Number 27. Oh yeah, your brand power. I mentioned the brand, and you should have on the next slide. But so the brand power. Your brand is how people perceive you when they interact with your business. Both the impressions you can control and the ones you can't. That's important. But more importantly, when all is said and done and all the fluff is gone, your character is what's important. And 27, s'il vous plaît. So how I got my brand and my business name, I just want to share that with you real quickly. Empower Strategy Group. I did a self-assessment with a coach, and I had a 360-degree interview from what people thought of me, what I thought of myself, and see the incongruence or the congruence. That, the people might say, oh yeah, she's unreliable, and I say I'm reliable. Like, what? The thoughts are out there about me. And when you say a word about, for example, Ruth, and do people resonate with that? Yeah, that's Ruth. Or no, it's not. Ruth, I see your name up the screen. That's why I picked on you. So there has to be congruence with what people think of you, what you think of yourself. So I did a 360-degree, and at the end of the day, it came out that I'm someone who empowers. And so you move to 28, empowers others. 28, so that's my brand. EM is Evelyn Myery. It just kind of worked out serendipitously. This is kind of crazy. It just happened like that. So like EM, empower, and power, of course. So it was, every time I show it to someone, they go, oh, that's your brand. Oh my God, that's perfect. You empower, and your name is Evelyn Myery. It just works. So it's just one of those serendipitous coming together. So that's a brand. So when people say empower and Evelyn, they say, yeah, she's empowering, for example. If it was another brand, it might not be. But just a little tidbit as to how I came up with this name. I had someone who did assessment with me, and everybody felt that I was an empowering figure, and worked out well. So, and finally, just to remind you, as you journey on, some of you will, find opportunities to bring others along. I think it's really important. We have that moral responsibility to always attempt to lift as we climb. Just reach back. How can I help somebody else? It's your job. It's not even negotiable, in my opinion. We are standing on the shoulders of those who came before us. And whatever it is we do in business or in social development, community work, please keep that in the forefront of your mind. Lifting as we climb. And the next slide is just emphasizing that, reaching out and helping others. And lastly, to whom much is given, much will be required. Ashe. Thank you so much for listening to me. And I hope your journey will be fabulous. You will find stumbling blocks. Just fall down, but you know what? Get up. It's all in the getting up. That's the character. Thank you.
Evelyn, thank you very much. You can't hear our audio, our claps, but
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Are happening.
So inspirational.
Yeah, very inspiring, very encouraging, very motivating. Evelyn, that's a great job. Thank you so much for being here. I loved what you shared about Nanny the Maroon. I'm Jamaican myself, and just the stories from my mother that she's always, taught us. And Maroon, we all know that Nanny was a very strong, determined woman, the Harriet Tubman of her day. And that's who we have to be as Black women in the space of advancement, and we're looking to grow our business. We have to, count and look at the strength of our ancestors and leverage that to take us through. So I really want to thank you, and your point that, we stand on the shoulders of who came before us is so very true, and we thank you for sharing. Now, if there's any questions for Evelyn, please, you can send it in the chat, or you can unmute and ask Evelyn questions. We can take another 5 minutes to ask Evelyn questions. And maybe, Uju, in the meantime, you can read some of the comments that was in the box for Evelyn.
Yeah, we just have a lot of people who are incredibly inspired. It's hard not to be inspired with, all that was shared. So we have Letty, who was saying, life has many turns, but God always has a door open for us. And she says, growing up with a Jamaican mother saved her from many pitfalls as well. Samantha concords with you when you mentioned that we should always look for opportunities to lift others up. And we have, Claudia says it was hard to have questions because everyone was so tuned in, just soaking in all that wisdom and inspiration. We do have Hodan, who says, can Evelyn Extraordinaire elaborate on the importance of having a coach versus a mentor? I actually had that question as well. So yeah, hold on, you read my mind. And she says, please elaborate on what you learned as an entrepreneur.
Okay. So I believe that a mentor is more volunteer, someone who, the goodness of their heart, say, I'll help and I will give back. But sometimes the amount of coaching we need or support we need is more than a mentor could take on. So when we have a coach who allows us to help us create a pathway with accountability lines, it's much more, you're more responsive, I find, to coaches, because you're paying good money for a coach. So you're going to really be, in my opinion, be a bit more focused and following the guidelines that your coach tells you, as opposed to being, a mentor. Yeah, and you can call me. Sometimes depending on the time that the mentor has, maybe they don't have the kind of time and the depth to help you further. But a coach certainly will take it on more seriously as part of their core job, and there's a fee associated with it. So you get a bit more, in my opinion, and there's a bit more lines of accountability with your coach and yourself, as opposed to just a mentor. A mentor is a good start, but I would move into a coaching relationship as much as I can, because you don't feel as though you're imposing on people who, you know, they might be busy, but they're trying to help, and they might not have that responsibility to research for you to help you identify where the shortcomings are, or where you can improve yourself, where the opportunities, where a coach will, it's almost like a career, it's a career psychologist type of way, because they'll really dig deeper into unearthing some of the challenges you're facing and suggest some action plans. And then you have to respond to the action plan and make sure you're following through. Or a coach will just say, sorry, you're not serious. So that's a difference. But I think as a start, and financially speaking, you know, having a mentor helps. They can help you into networking, connect you. Like, I bring people to meetings with me. You know, if I'm going somewhere, I say, you know, come with me, go to meet the mayor, you meet this person, you exchange cards. It's a great start. It's a starting point, but a coach gets a bit more intense and detailed.
Yeah, and I want to say, you know, many years ago I heard the expression when I decided to get a coach. It says, and it's this: a coach is someone who encourages you to do what you don't want to do, so what you do want to do, you can do it and do it better. You know, they essentially really guide you through, and also in that vein, you know, people at the highest levels get coached. I remember, you know, they were saying that George Bush had a coach that said to him, you know, you don't put your hand in your pants this way. You need to do it the other way. As you know, President Obama, Michelle Obama, they all get coached. You know, when she did that brilliant speech and everyone said, oh my goodness, that speech was so amazing. She went through that speech 100 times to get it that way. And so, you know, the coach literally, if you're training for the Olympics, you have a coach. Usain Bolt, as fast as he is, he has a coach to work on his techniques and his skill set and all of that to make him better. So that's the difference.
Absolutely.
Just to follow up on that question, and you mentioned in your presentation that you paid a coach to help you through a process. So how does that work? Is it something that we should look to do, or like when we're looking for coaches as well?
Yes. I'm sure Nadine can give you some connections there, but I would definitely encourage that piece. Even the piece that I created my brand, that was a coach I used who helped me. One of the things we did was do this 360, Nadine, the 360 perception scale, where like, oh my goodness, what people are saying about me and what I say about myself. It was very, very interesting. So it's very, makes you aware of what, you know, what people are thinking. You're thinking you're this, and people are saying, no, you're not. They actually said I was a BMW. And they said, what kind of car would Evelyn be when she's a car? I'm like, she's a BMW. I'm like, and I did have a BMW. I'm like, oh, wow, they got me right there. What kind of, so I'm just saying there are great tools out there to help you identify some of the areas you may want to get improved on. One of the things I have to work on is, you know, my timeliness is something I embarrassingly have to constantly push myself not to procrastinate. And that's another, you know, psychological issue, I'm told. So power and control, I'm told. So I'm working on that.
We have a few other questions here. Monique says, what are the pitfalls she should watch out for when starting her business? She finds that sometimes she has high expectations of herself and she really wants things to be done the right way.
Well, sometimes, you know, you get choked if you take on a project that you're not prepared to do the best you can, because you think I can do this, but you're not able to, and you deliver a subpar product. You don't have a second chance. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's hard to say no, but sometimes you have to. And another thing I think, another area I'd like to encourage our next generation of entrepreneurs to look at is collaboration. And I'm doing more and more of that. So I'll look for people who have similar skill set or complementary skill set in the field, because that's not my strength, but I bring people on my team we can work together to pitch an idea. That's really a good way to get your feet wet and to get contracts if you're in the contracting business. So not saying no, I can't do it, but you know what? I know Evelyn, she does this work and Nadine does this. How about if we get together and talk about what I could deliver for that particular client and we work together as one and present the proposal, for example. That's what I'm doing a lot of. And you know, I'm not the one who's making the 50 grand. It's all three of us now, but we all bring something in around the table. And that's something more and more. Women, we're good at it, more collaborative. So that's one area you may want to look at when you're doing your business about pitfalls. Find someone you trust who have the great reputation to align with your brand and see if you can work together from time to time. That's something to be open to. That's really a new direction I see women are taking, is like collaborating. And I'm doing it all the time. I have people I work with because I can't do that, but I can bring somebody in to help me. And we share the spoil, as opposed to it's all mine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Totally. Thank you so much, Evelyn. This has been very, very helpful. We would attend to other questions in a bit, but we have our second speaker who just got in, and I'm just going to let Nadine go ahead and introduce her.
Can I just say one thing before? Lastly, the imposter syndrome, we all have it, okay? Don't feel, even myself, someday I've got to talk myself out of it. So we all have it. It's something we carry with us. Just pretend they're all naked in the room and you know better than them. That helps sometimes. Thank you.
Great team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Evelyn. That's a great thought to leave us with. It's always a privilege and a pleasure to spend any time with you, Evelyn, and thank you very much. And so I would like to introduce our next speaker. She's very near and dear to me and very special, but I'm going to introduce her in her, Missy, should I tell them? Anyway, I'll waiting for her to come on. Wait, she's shaking her head no. So Mitzi Hunter is the MPP for Scarborough-Guildwood and the critic for Finance, Treasury Board, Energy and Democratic Renewal and Electoral Reform for the Ontario Liberal Party. She recently served as the Minister of Advanced Education and Skills Development. Prior to this post, she served as Minister of Education and the Associate Minister of Finance, responsible for pension reform. As the former CEO of the Greater Toronto Civic Action Alliance, Mitzi worked to solve some of our toughest social, economic, and environmental challenges. Prior to this, she was the Chief Administrative Officer of the Toronto Housing Corporation, Vice President with Goodwill Industries, and a Regional Director at Bell Canada. Mitzi grew up in the beautiful place of Scarborough, graduated from the University of Toronto Scarborough campus with a BA and completed her MBA from the Rotman School of Management. Mitzi continues to bring people together to solve problems while creating jobs and opportunity for our community. Mitzi, she's awesome. And, you know, I work with Mitzi on two of her campaigns as a fundraising chair for her two of her campaigns. And Mitzi's here to talk to us today about her entrepreneurial journey. I think not a lot of people, it's not even mentioned in the bio here. And I think it's one of the greatest foundations to, I think, you know, I mean, and she'll tell you more of her story, but she had a company called M. Hunter Communications. And one of the things I remembered specifically about her in the summer that she had the business, she had these wonderful t-shirts that said, I think it said M. Hunter or Mitzi Hunter. I was like, where's my t-shirt? But she recognized very early the importance of branding. So I will let her tell you more. And I'm very honored and privileged to introduce you to Mitzi Hunter. Welcome, Mitzi.
Thank you, Nadine, and thank you to the BBPA for having me on. And you know, it's really exciting also to be on with Evelyn Myrie. I just admire all the work that she does, and is a fierce woman. So definitely take her advice and run with it. So, you know, as Nadine has said, I have a pretty broad background. I worked in corporate, I've worked in nonprofit and community, and have spent 7 years in government as a senior cabinet minister, minister of education, minister responsible for universities and colleges and trades in the province. and also Associate Finance Minister, having been given the task of building a pension plan for the people of Ontario, which actually led to the expansion of the Canada Pension Plan for all working Canadians. So, you know, with all of those things, you know, one thing that perhaps is not as well known is that I actually started my working life and my career as an entrepreneur, and I created my company out of an idea and out of necessity, because it was in the early 1990s, and some of you may recall that there was a recession. And it was a different than what we're experiencing now. It was a very deep and long recession. And I was a student. I was attending the University of Toronto, Scarborough, and I needed to work. I needed to pay my way through school. So my only option really was to start a company. But I want to say to the women who are watching tonight and who are, you know, maybe you're struggling right now. It's a tough time to be in business. I get that. It is not normal times. COVID-19 has changed everything really about our society, and there is no normal. The only thing that you can maybe think about is what is the next normal. And, you know, I want to share some of the experiences that I have had to really to see opportunity in the struggle, and to see that the only thing that you need to do is not give up. Continue to push forward, and not only will we beat this virus and get through it, but you, your families, and your businesses will survive and thrive. Okay, I want to be an example of that to all of you tonight. And so, you know, as I said to you, it was the early 90s, and I couldn't get a job. I had applied for many, many, many companies, and they said, "Oh, Mitzi, you're wonderful, but we're not hiring students this year because of the recession." And so actually the provincial government had a program for students to have a summer company. And I applied for the program. It was a $5,000 grant. And I thought, that's what I need to start up, right? We all need startup capital. Well, they turned me down. And I called them and I asked if I could come in to meet with them to explain my business plan. And the program manager said yes. And I went in, presented my reasons for starting this company. And by the way, you're going to say, what company was that, Ms. Hunter? It was a model and talent center. That was the original idea. And at the end of the meeting, the program manager said, okay, we will grant you the grant, the $5,000. And I said to him, I said, well, what changed your mind? Because everything I just talked to you about is in the presentation that I sent in. And he said, of all the applicants we declined, you were the only one to call and schedule a meeting. You were the only one that tried again when you got that no. And I believe that that lesson that I learned, and all the lessons that you learn as an entrepreneur, is more than enough to take you through any pandemic and any economic storm that we have. That resiliency that you have as entrepreneurs to be able to conceive of gaps in the market that you can fill, areas that you can improve and make better, or just something that you are very good at that you can expand. That ability to be an entrepreneur is so important. And I have to tell you, I have taken that with me throughout my life and throughout my career. And so after doing my business, and you know, it was something that I did very passionately, as all business owners, you really put your all into it. And after a couple of years, it was not even many years, I really needed to move on. And I ended up working at a large corporation at Bell Canada. But that sense of creating things and pushing forward is something that I took into the corporation with me, and I became an intrapreneur. And I was at Bell Canada for 5 years. I had 7 different promotions while I was there. And, you know, from there, I went into technology and became the president of an incubator, actually helping businesses to grow and to scale their startups, and a very exciting time in technology here in the GTA. And then I ended up in nonprofit, because that opportunity to make a difference in people's lives was something that I really wanted to do. And so there's no surprise that years later, when I got the call for public service, I answered that call, because it was something that I was committed to doing. I was really dedicated to improving the community in which I had grown up in, and to making people's lives better. And that's what I'm doing today. I still have that entrepreneurial mindset. Once you learn it, you never lose it. But now I'm applying that to public policy and to decision making on a broader scale. And I want to say to the women that are listening tonight, Ontario needs you. We need you to succeed. We need you to solve the challenges that we face in our society. And think of this time of the pandemic as a time of opportunity and renewal and creativity, and finding spaces that you can have your niche, that you can expand. Don't think of this as a time of scarcity. This is a time of renewal for those who think in that way. And all of you are, because it takes courage to start a business. It takes courage to assume responsibility for other people's wages and to commit to payroll. I know what that's like. You know, I know what it's like. I've done that. You know, I've done that. I've had to pay rents to landlords. You know, as a student, I still had to get my degree, but I was running this company, and it brought me into many different avenues that I wouldn't have before. And so, you know, the skills that you have, no one can take from you. No one can take from you. And Ontario needs you. And, you know, there are opportunities, there are calls for businesses to solve challenging areas of COVID-19. I have just spent the summer at our Standing Committee of Finance and Economic Affairs, listening to hundreds of individuals from across this province, from way up north in the remote communities, who are operating tour facilities and outdoor experiences, to people working in our tourism sector, and everything in between, nonprofits, startups, and, you know, corporations, in fact, you know, large businesses, even municipalities, in fact, have come forward to this committee talking about the impacts and the effects of the pandemic. And I share that with you because sometimes we think that when we're going through a tough time, it's only us, or it's something you are not doing right. And that's not necessarily the case all the time, because market conditions also dictate. So I want to share with you, before I open it up and take your questions, you know, one of the failures that I had as a young entrepreneur. So I told you I had a marketing and talent center, and I was very excited about doing that work and representing Black women and men, and actually even children, in the talent space. And I put on a major production at Seneca College. At the time, it was Minkler Auditorium. I was just actually speaking at Seneca earlier this year, and I discovered that Minkler Auditorium is no longer there. So it sort of dates me in terms of how long ago that was. And the production was done excellent. We had models, we had entertainers, we had photographers, we had musicians, we had lighting and sound. and stage and production. What we didn't have was a paying audience. My team and I had spent so much time on the creative side, on the design and the delivery, and it was a perfect show, but it didn't make money. In fact, I lost all of the money I had on that one production. And as I was, reflecting on what we did right and wrong for it, I realized that we didn't spend enough time marketing. And I know Nadine can tell you all about the importance of marketing and brand. We didn't sell the tickets to the show, even though the product we produced was so good. And I know some of you are spending time perfecting your product, but you have to take time to make sure that you market and sell your product and that you collect the receivables from the work that you're doing to sell your product. So don't forget about those elements. So how did my story end? Was that it for Mitzi and M. Hunter? No. What I did was that I sought expert advice. I went to my accountant and I explained what had happened, and we came up with a plan to handle our overhead, to handle our obligations, and to keep all of our commitments. But one of the things that he said to me, and I will pass it on to you, no matter what you're doing that you're passionate about, this is to be remembered. He said, Mitzi, you're doing well, but you don't have reoccurring cash flow in your business. I thought, okay. He says, all of your business that you have right now are just flow through sales. You don't have a client that's coming back to you month after month after month for you to produce something for them. And I got it. Women, entrepreneurs, it clicked for me. I ended up creating a brand new division in my company called M. Hunter Communications. And that division, in fact, became the company because I ended up getting clients that signed me on for my creativity, the same thing I did at Minkler Auditorium, Seneca College, but for them. And I was an external marketer for major properties. Agincourt Mall was one of my clients. Cadillac Fairview became one of my clients. These big corporations. And I have to tell you, I went in, first of all, I did my research and I found malls and properties that did not have a director of marketing. They didn't list them. So I went in and I said, I will be your external director of marketing. This is in the middle of a recession. And I remember the pitch that I made to Marathon Realty, who was at the time managing Agincourt Mall. I gave the demographics. They had a seniors home, Shepherd Lodge, right next door. And in fact, I said Scarborough has a higher proportion of seniors than the average in Toronto. So you should be doing a seniors program. No one had ever told them this before. This was brand new information. This was allowing them to appeal to their primary customer. So we created a program called Club 65 Plus. And every month I put on a show in the mall for those seniors. It was one of the most fun and engaging experiences that I had had at this point because seniors are amazing. And of course, they loved Mitzi because I came with all these wonderful new ideas that they'd never heard of. I got a 90-year-old woman to model on a stage for the first time in her life. and her children and grandchildren came to watch. So I share that with you because, you know, there are many, many, many lessons to be learned. But I think the one thing I want to impart to you is believe in yourself. Believe in what you're doing and never give up. And don't be afraid in the time of recession and change to try things differently, to take what you have and just offer it somewhere else, because you just never know where it will lead. So I think, Nadine, I will end with that story and open to questions from this amazing audience.
So there's a lot of claps and snaps for you. Very inspiring. I am inspired. And I remembered when you did the seniors fashion show. I remember that so long ago, but it's very inspiring. And this is why I wanted you to be on as well, just to tell the journey, because, you know, as Mitzi said, you know, the show at the Minkler Auditorium, and I remember the Minkler Auditorium as well, it didn't work, but here she is, you know, and those lessons learned from being her entrepreneurial journey has served her well till today. So it is possible for all of us to achieve regardless of the obstacles, and great things you've shared, you know, the cash flow concept, very good, versus flow through sales, brilliant. And, you know, I think one of the takeaways here is to believe in yourself, one, and seek expert advice. We heard Evelyn spoke a little bit about what coaching means, to have someone in your corner, but expert advice, we've talked about that through this entire program, very, very critical and very important. So thank you so very much. I always want to say Minister Hunter. And so if there's any questions, please, we can, Uju, I will leave you to ask the questions for Mitzi. A lot of great box, by the way.
Yes, there are lots of comments from our ladies watching, and they're just really going on about all the great advice, say so inspiring, Mitzi, and they're just sharing how the stories are so motivating to them. Erika Shaw asks, what is the best? Oh no, that was a comment. She was saying what a way to combine all your skills to build success. Great examples, Mitzi. A comment here came from Julia, and she's saying, what is the best way to get capital from the government?
Okay, Julia. So this is really like the question, right? And I commend you for asking it, because, you know, one of the things that I learned, in fact, when I had my business. So I'm going to give you the answer when I have not been on this side of the table, to be inside government, okay? Because I also think that that is also important to share. When I had my company, Dr. Alvin Curling was, of course, in government and representing Scarborough, and he approached me and asked me to join a committee of the community and government coming together. And I said yes, but then I said, you know, Dr. Curling, why are you asking me? I'm, you know, a young entrepreneur. What is it that I have to bring? And he said, Mitzi, we need you. We need your, you know, all the things that I just described, thinking differently and being available, being a volunteer, all of that. He wanted to have that. It ended up that while I was participating at this table, that they needed someone to write a proposal. And it was the first time that Caribana, and it was called Caribana at the time, this is a long time ago, received multi-year funding from the province. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars over 3 years. And my company wrote the proposal, facilitated the meetings. We had a vision session, and we did all of that together. And, you know, my team and I wrote every part of it. And then we had the opportunity to go and present it to the cabinet minister. And it was successful. And the funds were flowed to the organization. And you know, of course, the rest is history. We continue to grow from there. So being able to conceive of something that the government needs done, because government cannot solve all the problems that we have in society. And you may think of solutions that are needed. Go and make those presentations and those pitches. You can do it directly usually it's through the staff, because when we worked on that presentation, we had to work with the minister's staff, and even requesting and meeting with the ministers themselves is one avenue. But that's not the biggest avenue. That was just an example. The biggest avenue is really through a procurement process, and that's not run by ministers and their staff. That is actually run by the deputy ministers and their team. And it's very formal, and there's a process. There's usually a bid. They have what is called the MERC system, where vendors are registered and receive information on government contracts and can bid on those government contracts and participate at that level. Some of the challenges are that you need to be well established for many years and have already had government as a client in order to be considered for those bids. What I say to you, and I want to take from what Evelyn said earlier, don't do things alone. Partner up, build your capacity, and don't give up. Continue to check out that MERC system for bids that are well suited to you, or join another partner business to approach government. Maybe a nonprofit needs your skill sets and they are doing something for government, and you can help to support them. I just want you tonight to dig deep into your creativity and find solutions. Find solutions. Government is a big procurer of all services and initiatives, and don't be afraid to just go forward and to bid on some of those contracts that are available and that need diverse people applying for them as well. So sometimes we say, we're not getting the opportunity, but sometimes what I see from being in government is that we're not always applying for those opportunities when the call for those proposals are made. So, continue to do that, continue to respond to the calls that are made by governments, because, when I was in the Ministry of Finance, and I remember reading the budget, it was $134 billion a year that the government was spending mostly through transfer agencies. But, all in all, that's a lot of money that is coming through annually that the government is spending.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We have one last question from Mirabelle. She's been raising her hand like crazy. So I'm just going to, Mirabelle, you can go ahead and ask your question. You can just unmute yourself and ask.
Okay, hi. First of all, thank you so much for coming to speak to us. I learned a lot and it was really inspiring. I'm based on the West Coast, which might be different for some people. I know most people are talking from Ontario. But I was wondering, what are ways to grow and diversify your client base? Like, for example, I do a lot of graphic design work, etc. But it's a lot of the people that are my clients, I guess, are typically people in my community or people I know pretty closely. So I guess how do you go about getting outside of just your network and growing that client base even more?
So Mirabelle, I thank you for your question, and it's great that you're on the West Coast. You're doing very well when it comes to fighting COVID with your Chief Medical Officer of Health, Bonnie Henry. We love her here. I would watch her updates, especially in the early days of the pandemic. And, I really admire you as someone who has a skill set. So your graphic design shows me that you have technical skills, that you have creative skills, spatial skills, and I think you have a willingness to participate in your community. And so everything I described as a young entrepreneur applies to you. Getting yourself at tables outside of your comfort zone, right? And do you know what I mean when I say your comfort zone? Yeah, right. So and for all the women listening, so your comfort zone is what you know, your skills, your capabilities, your network. All of those things are your comfort zone. What I want you to do is get into what I call a stretch zone. A stretch zone is slightly outside of where you're comfortable, right? So when I was an entrepreneur, and I gotta tell you this because I know what you're going through, I made cold sales. And I would put beans, coins, whatever it is, in my right pocket. And I would say, I'm going to have 10 sales today. And I would count 10 of them, and they were in that pocket. And every time I got a sale, I put them in the left pocket. And I would not stop calling, or I would not go home. There were times when I was making cold sales in the public. I would not go home until all of those coins in the right pocket were transferred to the left pocket, because that's when I had made all the sales that I had set out to do that day. That was uncomfortable. That was stretching myself beyond where I was comfortable. So get out of your comfort zone, move into your stretch zone, and do what it takes to meet your new clients, to meet your new customers. You know, sign up at the local community organization. Maybe, you know, offer your services to them. There are many different ways. Look at all of the businesses right now on Main Street that are struggling, that need to market and to communicate themselves. You know, even simple things like menus, right? They have to now move all of those services online. There's a high demand for graphic services as a result of the pandemic. There are many, look for opportunities in the very specific ways that you can offer a solution to help someone else's business to grow using your skills and your talent. And wherever you go, people should know that you carry that skill as a creative designer. They should know that, right? And so, you know, I just think that you have a skill that is needed by every business, because they have to communicate differently right now, and they have to use creative ways of doing that, right? So I just want to say to all the women that are there, you know, Ontario needs you right now to survive and to thrive beyond COVID-19, and we need new solutions, and we're waiting for you to offer them.
Thank you very much, Mitzi, for your advice and just for being here. And also, Maribel, you know, I always say start in the room where you're at. We have 45 entrepreneurs, business owners right here. So you always want to start in the space you're at to see where the possibilities are right there, and then go from there. And one quick story before Uju shares. I remembered I had the same principle, Mitzi, as you. My thing was that I wouldn't eat until I've made a sale. I was very skinny back then for that reason, because many days I went without a sale and I did not eat. It was a part of the challenge or the suffering. And then when I had a sale, I would then have a great meal. I mean, so, you know, we all have our ways of you know, making it fun and interesting, but the counting of the beans is a great thing as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I want to say, you know, start your day with the hardest thing first. Like, as soon as you wake up in the morning and you're the most creative, you're the most energetic, don't do the easy things like check your email, check your social media, and do those things. Start with your hardest client, start with your hardest project, do that first, and then move on to the other things.
Thank you so much, Mitzi. This has been very impactful. The tips and advice and everything that you shared, we would not forget it in a hurry. I can already see on the chat that people are already asking Mirabelle for her link and her profile just so that they could see her work. And I'm like, yes, let the connection start. So amazing. I'm just putting that plug there. I think she's one of our scholarship awardees this coming Friday. So we're happy to just see her on the program. And just moving on to, we're like 5 minutes beyond time. Apologies for that, but I just wanted to share a quick announcement. So like Nadine said at the beginning of the program, we're extending this by 1 week, and this next week is going to be blazing hot. Like Nadine would say, hot, hot, hot. So we have, in partnership with Ryson, we're going to be having a pitch next week. Now I'm going to send out more information about that, so please check your emails. But really, it's going to be a pitch where every single person on this call will send a pitch in and would stand a chance to win $5,000.
Yeah, two of them, two entrepreneurs will get $2,500 each.
Exactly. And I think there's also room to add more, but that's something that we'll discuss and and get back to you on. But this is what it is as of today. So I would say, like it says on the slide, success happens when opportunity meets preparation. And that's what we've been doing for the past 8 weeks, really just getting prepared. But we would really see there's an opportunity for us to really just put this, all our ideas, put structure around it, and just communicate in such a way that it can win at least two of you on this program, $2,500 each. I am so excited. I wish I can get in the race right now for that money. But yeah, so that's that. And also another announcement that we have is your brand audit. So most of you got the email from me earlier today with this link, but I'm just putting this out here as well. But this is only for people who already had started the process of the brand audits already. So if you sent in your brand audits, and I would suggest clicking on the link and just picking out a time for a quick consult with Nadine Spencer, because she is the brand extraordinaire. Yeah, so I would suggest you do that as soon as possible before the slots get all filled up. So that's all the announcement that I have for you. Thank you so much.
There's another one. If you could advance a slide for what's happening, for who's going to be here next week.
Oh, yes.
And also, ladies, wait, just one sec. There's a great opportunity in terms of the two amounts of monies for $2,500 each, but we must complete the survey. There will be probably more funds brought to the table with your pitch, and Uju will send you more details around that over by Friday. And so please complete the survey that was sent to you, because to be in the pitch, everyone would have had to complete the survey. We'll be pulling names from that survey in addition to other criteria that will be part of it. So you definitely want to fill out that survey. And over to you, Uju.
Exactly. So the survey she's referring to is a survey from Ryson University. They are our sponsors and partners. So you have gotten that link already, but if you don't have it, I can just share it again with anyone who doesn't currently have it. The slide in front of you is really just a snip of what will be, of the people who are going to be speaking to us next week. It's going to be really packed. Some of us already saw Wendy Sukia a few weeks ago, but she's going to be coming in again. And then we have Velma Morgan, we have Jill, just a really, really packed session next Tuesday. So I would really recommend that you attend and invite your friends to attend as well. Also look out for the detail on the pitch that will be happening next week as well. We also have dates that's coming up very soon in November. That is the business advisory, implementation, and development services. So it's still on the process of just getting all of our entrepreneurs ready for when opportunity comes. So in terms of, getting your plans in order, your registration in order, your taxes, everything. So all of those services will be given Hulu-based programs. So I would really recommend that you keep your eyes out for when further information on that comes on. And so yeah, that's basically it. So thank you once again for really just showing up and just being as engaging and fun as possible. Thank you so much. We would see you next week, Tuesday, for just another exciting session. Thank you again, Mitzi, and thank you, Evelyn. This has been great.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and I see here some people are writing they didn't get the calendar link. Uju sent an email out today to the group, and maybe you can put the calendar link also in the WhatsApp group chat, but we'll send out the calendar link, and that's for everyone who had filled out the brand audit. Then, you know, the next step is to get the calendar link, and you and I will have a half-an-hour consult. Really looking forward to it. And I look forward to seeing you next week. It will be very exciting. We've got Minister Jill Dunlop and also Minister Pragmeet Singh Sarkaria, Minister of Small Business and Reducing Red Tape. So, you know, we have the Women's Minister and we have the Business Minister. We couldn't ask for a better finale, and also the pitch of funds that will be given to 2 or 3 lucky entrepreneurs in this series, because we're here to help you grow. And so we look forward to seeing you next week and to see, of course, you growing over the future. Thank you very much for being here.
So I just dropped the link to the WhatsApp group for some of us who are not already there. So you can just join in, and it's also easier to share information there as well. The link was shared, the brand audit link or calendar link was shared earlier today, but if you didn't get it, we would send it again to you. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely evening, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, great to see you, Nandi. You look fantastic. Nice seeing you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
all the best.
Yeah, thanks, Evelyn. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Mitzi.